Up to now, we have seen the importance of not letting ourselves be dominated by patterns of self-sabotage and excessive ego that, in a subtle way, can make us lose what it took so much effort to achieve. In the previous parts, you discovered how to awaken your determination to achieve your goals, and, above all, how to learn to maintain them without falling into internal traps. You also learned how to manage success when it finally arrives, not letting arrogance or lack of vigilance snatch away the achievements you have attained. But what happens when, despite all our efforts, a moment of adversity arrives? How do you react when everything seems to collapse, when the goal moves away, or when circumstances change radically? Can we rise after a stumble and get back on track without being overcome by despair or anger? This third part focuses on that essential point: how to handle the experience of failure in such a way that, instead of making us retreat, it drives us to be stronger, wiser, and much more resilient. We will see clear and simple techniques to avoid getting entangled in the negative emotions that often accompany setbacks. You will also learn how to revalue your resources and your reputation when things do not go as expected. And, most importantly, you will intensify that desire to take your personal growth to a level where obstacles cease to be seen as insurmountable threats and become stepping stones that elevate you even higher. Overcoming failure, keys to not self-destructing resilience in the face of failure. When a goal is not achieved or an unexpected setback arises, a wounded ego can lead us into despair, guilt, or denial. However, failure should not be seen as an end, but as an inevitable part of any growth process. Why failure is natural. No path to success is free from stumbles. Even the most admired people have gone through difficult stages. If you accept it as part of life, you will reduce the dramatic burden that we sometimes attribute to error. Maintaining your motivation in the midst of failure becomes easier when you understand that each stumble holds enormous learning potential. Resilience, the hidden ingredient. Resilience is the ability to adapt and recover after an obstacle. It involves processing negative emotions without getting stuck in them. To practice it, allow yourself to feel frustration initially, but set a deadline to move to constructive action. Review what failed, seek help, and reformulate plans. How to identify your automatic response. Observe if your immediate reaction to failure is to blame others or fall into self-pity. This often indicates a wounded ego that does not want to take responsibility. Recognize that impulse and, instead of ignoring it, face it head-on. Ask yourself, how could I better handle this situation if I want to learn and emerge stronger from it? Resilience, therefore, becomes your best ally to grow instead of giving up. It reminds you that every fall, no matter how strong, can propel you to a higher level. Humility in adversity. If in good times humility helps you share achievements and keep your feet on the ground, during difficult moments it becomes an emotional shield. Why? Because a wounded ego can make us seek excuses, blame others, or even deny reality, deepening the problem. Acknowledging personal responsibility. In the face of a collapse, it is tempting to point to external factors, circumstances, others, bad luck. Although sometimes the environment does not help, there is almost always a part of responsibility that falls on us. Humility makes you examine your own decisions without dissolving into guilt or self-hatred. Instead of endlessly lamenting, you focus on taking your share and learning from it. Why blaming others stalls you. If you do not identify your contribution to the problem, it will be impossible to solve it at its root. A vicious cycle is created. You repeat the same patterns because it wasn't your fault, and sooner or later, a similar stumble occurs again. The power of asking for apologies and support. Many times, the simple act of acknowledging a mistake opens the doors to reconciliation with your collaborators, family members, or friends. This, in turn, provides you with the help you need to recover. Do not fear showing vulnerability. Being honest about your shortcomings is a sign of maturity that paradoxically strengthens your image before others. Thus, humility in adversity gives you the opportunity to mend relationships, reinforce your focus, and channel efforts toward solutions instead of self-destruction. Learning from failure. Mistakes, when examined objectively, can become your best teachers. Each misstep is like a map indicating which routes were poorly planned or which areas need attention and improvement. How to extract valuable lessons. Calmly review what happened. Make a list of the factors that contributed to that outcome. Separate what depends on you, your decisions, attitudes, omissions, from what is external to your control, economic conditions, climatic factors, etc. Focus your energy on modifying what was within your sphere of action. This way, you avoid falling into the frustration of feeling powerless over what you cannot change. Avoiding the ego bias sometimes makes you distort the story to minimize your mistakes and exaggerate those of others. Be careful with that tendency because it prevents you from clearly seeing the real causes of the problem. Ask someone you trust for an honest opinion about your failures. An external perspective sheds much light where ego would draw curtains. Review, correct, and move forward. Once you have identified what went wrong, define concrete actions to prevent it in the future. It might be acquiring a new skill, changing a supplier, adjusting your team, rethinking a schedule, or improving communication with your environment. Above all, do not fear making drastic changes if necessary. Genuine learning sometimes involves undoing ingrained decisions or comfortable but unproductive habits. Failure, under this prism, becomes an intensive course that forces you to recalibrate methods and mindset. Those who learn quickly from their mistakes have a huge competitive advantage because each stumble translates into accelerated growth. Reinvesting in yourself. After a setback, the temptation to abandon everything and blame life may arise. However, that is the perfect moment to invest in your personal and professional evolution. Do not underestimate the power of rebuilding yourself after a blow. Reflecting on your strengths and weaknesses. A new beginning does not mean ignoring what worked. Acknowledge your strengths and how you can continue to enhance them. Similarly, identify those weaknesses that worked against you. Are you lacking better organization? Do you have knowledge gaps in your area? This is your opportunity to find courses, mentors, workshops, or materials that can help you. Acquiring new competencies. It is never too late to learn something that can make a difference in your future. For example, if you failed in a business due to not managing finances properly, a short course in accounting or management can be the springboard that makes you succeed next time. True reinvestment is not only monetary, it is mental and emotional. Feed your mind with readings, podcasts, conferences, and with people who inspire you to take the next step. Working on the personal plane. Sometimes, lack of confidence, anxiety, or communication problems worsen crises. If you identify that these factors influence the situation, consider therapies, coaching, or specialized advice. Overcoming is not a luxury. It is the foundation for your new stage to sustain over time and not collapse at the first tremor. Reinvesting in yourself not only prepares you for future challenges, but also sends a powerful signal to your mind. There is hope. You can rebirth with greater solidity and wisdom. Rebuilding your reputation. A wounded ego after failure can lead you to hide or pretend that nothing happened. However, reputation is crucial for your personal and professional relationships. Rebuilding it with honesty and dedication can open doors you thought were closed. Public acceptance of mistakes. There is no need to make big scandals or dramatic speeches, but you should take on your part with transparency before the affected people. This creates a foundation of trust. People value authenticity. Those who acknowledge their faults and strive to amend them usually earn more solid respect than those who pretend to be infallible. Consistency in your actions. Reputation is restored by showing through actions day after day, that you have changed. It is useless to promise that you will act differently if you repeat the same irresponsible or evasive behaviors. Make consistency your banner. Be punctual. Fulfill your commitments. Practice transparency in your decisions, and you will see how, over time, trust returns. Honesty as a pillar. If you are caught hiding or disguising truths, the situation could worsen. Instead, being sincere and firm in your purpose to change speaks very well of you. Honesty makes you trustworthy, and trustworthiness is one of the pillars for new opportunities to knock on your door. Rebuilding your reputation may take time, but it brings lasting rewards. You learn to value integrity and, at the same time, demonstrate to your environment that you deserve a second chance. Mastering the internal shadow, your ego. In many cases, the greatest enemy is not the market, the competition, or the circumstances, but that internal impulse to see ourselves as the center of the universe and to react with arrogance or victimhood when we feel challenged. Why it requires vigilance. Ego is silent. It hides in innocent thoughts that justify our bad decisions. Therefore, the first step to mastering it is to recognize that it exists and understand how it infiltrates our daily lives. Constant change. It is not about defeating it once and for all. You must pay recurrent attention, so it does not regain control when you let your guard down. The importance of self-awareness. To identify how ego or self-sabotage manifests in us, it is essential to develop sincere self-awareness. Introspection. Tools. Take a few minutes a day to reflect, keep a journal, or simply analyze the emotions you feel in response to certain stimuli. This helps you see patterns that previously went unnoticed. Benefits. Self-awareness makes us proactive, allowing us to anticipate and react with emotional intelligence instead of impulsivity. Life principles that focus on success. Having a set of personal principles based on values and virtues serves as a guide in moments of doubt or crisis. Virtue and discipline. Cultivating discipline, responsibility, and integrity provides stability and direction even when everything around you is shaky. Accepting what we cannot control. This frees you from the frustration of wanting to dominate everything. Instead, you focus on optimizing what does depend on you, serving others, and transcending. When your goal transcends the purely individual and seeks the well-being of other people, your energy multiplies and the ego loses strength. Community focus. Helping others not only generates a positive impact on them, but also fills you with satisfaction and anchors you to a broader purpose. How it benefits your development. By keeping your attention on collaboration and service, you eliminate mental barriers that arise from egocentrism and fear. Excellence as a North Star. Pursuing excellence is not about being better than everyone else, but about surpassing yourself every day. Beyond external validation. External recognition can be fleeting or even misleading. Instead, excellence that arises from your commitment to yourself is a constant reward that fuels your motivation. Continuous improvement. Mindset. Those who pursue excellence keep learning and adjusting, without falling into the vanity that confuses a momentary victory with the ultimate summit. Practical applications to consolidate learning practice. Daily humility. Incorporate small acts of humility into your routine. Acknowledge your mistakes immediately. If you make a mistake, admit it without beating around the bush. This prevents tension from accumulating and shows you as a trustworthy person. Value others' contributions. Mention what you appreciate about others, strengthening relationships, and keeping you focused on collaboration. Set clear and realistic goals. Define concrete, measurable objectives aligned with your values. Avoid overloading. Do not seek impossible goals just out of pride or unfair competition with yourself. Choose challenging but achievable purposes to stay motivated and avoid falling into frustration. Plan and visualize. Creating daily, weekly, and monthly plans helps you stay focused. Having a roadmap minimizes the influence of the ego that drives you to move without a clear direction. Seek constructive feedback. Ask for opinions from trusted people or mentors who can guide you. Listen without defending yourself. When someone points out an area for improvement, do not jump to justify yourself immediately. Be receptive, evaluate the criticism, and decide what actions to take. Expand your sources. Do not limit yourself to people who always agree with you. Seek critical voices and observe how they handle aspects that are difficult for you. Practice meditation and reflection. Mental pause is a very powerful weapon against reactivity and arrogance. Brief meditation. Spending a few minutes a day focusing on your breathing and clearing your mind of unnecessary thoughts will reduce internal tension. Morning or evening reflections. Before sleeping or upon waking, review your attitude and recent achievements. Ask yourself what you could improve and what you did well. Foster healthy relationships. The connections you maintain with others are a reflection of your internal balance. Mutual respect and support. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth, not those who drag you into negativity or sabotage you. Likewise, be a support for others. Collaborative environments. Both in work and personal life, an environment where collective success is celebrated reduces the need to compete from the ego and creates essential support networks to overcome ups and downs. Create a reflection. Journal. Recording your thoughts and actions is an effective way to observe patterns. Simple format. Note the most relevant situations of the day, how you reacted, and what emotions you experienced. Then, calmly review what you wrote to detect if there was an influence of a poorly managed ego. Strategic use. This is not to punish yourself, but to cultivate self-awareness and see your evolution over time. Practice gratitude. Gratitude connects you with a broader perspective and reduces the tendency to focus only on your problems or achievements. Psychological benefits. It makes you feel more satisfied, reduces envy and resentment, and opens you up to collaboration. Daily exercise. Every day, identify at least 3 things you are grateful for. They can be situations, people, or even aspects of your health. You will see how your attitude starts to change. Seek mentors and advisors. No one grows alone. Having the support of an experienced person can accelerate your development and save you from many stumbles. How to choose a good mentor. Look for someone who has the experience and values you admire. Make sure they are willing to give you honest feedback, not just praise. Mutual learning. A mentor is not always a distant figure. It can be someone who also benefits from your vision, and together you support each other in parallel growth. You have reached the final stage of this journey. Now you understand that failure does not have to be the end of the story, but an invaluable source of learning and strength. By mastering your ego and learning to rise from falls, you are closer to becoming that version of yourself who not only achieves their goals, but also maintains them over time. Avoiding becoming another case of achieved everything and lost it all through self-sabotage